And welcome into the Sports Source. Welcome back to the Sports Source, I should say. This segment brought to you by A.G. Heinz Company. 100 years ago, you could buy a Model T car for about $250. You could buy a home for $1,200. And if you were building a home, you could call A.G. Heinz Company. And you still can 100 years later. They're not making Model Ts anymore, but A.G. Heinz Company's still around. That takes some doing, folks. That is a company that is well run and has a loyal customer base. If you are in the need of building materials, goodness sakes, call A.G. Heinz Company. There is nobody better in East Tennessee. For 100 years, that's been the case. All right. Want to throw up some different comparisons here and get your take on this. You know, I mentioned chunk passing game. Tennessee, in terms of 30-yard pass plays, 19 on the year. That's fourth best in the SEC. Indiana had 21 on the year. That's best in the Big Ten. In terms of giving up big plays like that,
yes.
Tennessee's only given up 7. That's best in the league. Indiana, on the other hand, 12th in the Big Ten. They've given up 20. There's an advantage for Tennessee. And the thing that cuts into that a little is you don't have Juwan Jennings for the first half, but it makes you wonder how many deep balls and big shots Callaway and Josh Palmer, maybe Ramel Keaton, are going to get today.
Yep.
All right, next one, big play defense. I chunked all these together. Tackles for loss, and I was surprised at the number. Tackles for loss, 62 to 75, more for Indiana. Sacks, a few more for Tennessee. Fumble recoveries, a lot more for Indiana. Interceptions, a lot more for Tennessee. Total, 6 different. So pretty equal right there. Surprised by that. Kicking game, we haven't discussed this yet. Kick returns for TDs, neither team has one. Tennessee has 3 punt returns for TDs here and 3 punt blocks. Okay, neither team has allowed a kick or punt return for a touchdown, but the advantage there at the top goes to Tennessee. Punting average, dead even. Neither team exactly killing it. Touchback percentage, Tennessee better, 72% of the time. The team gets it at the 25-yard line. Field goal percentage, you're doing a job when you've got a better percentage than Brent Samaglia. Samaglia is at 83.3%. Indiana's kicked about, I think they are 16 of 19, whereas Samaglia is 20 of 24. So about 5 fewer, but still 83%, 84%. If it comes down to kickers, you got a couple of good ones in this one. And then finally, the fewest mistakes will win category. Turnover margin, which we always focus on. UT is exactly dead even on the year. Plus 18, minus 18, so dead even. Indiana was plus 1 turnover on the year, so not a big difference there. Penalties per game. Okay. About the same in terms of the numbers called per game, but Indiana with about 13 more penalty yards each game than Tennessee has had. Maybe something to watch moving into this game.
A few extra times they've jumped on a pile or two at the end of a play, maybe.
There you go. Let's come back to the panel here. Anything in those numbers stand out to you? The one that stood out to me was the kicker thing.
I predict Indiana does not return a punt or kickoff for a touchdown based on those numbers.
There you go. If somebody does, you got to go with Tennessee.
Well, and that shows me Tennessee needs to make some big plays in the passing games. That 30-yard, that's a big advantage and a big difference. So you figure you've got some players back there, some matchups you need to be able to take advantage of.
And I think that's, again, we mentioned it, last segment, 2 segments ago, I can't keep track, that if you did have to say Tennessee's bread and butter is something, I guess you would say it's those chunk plays in the passing game. That's the only thing where you've kind of have 1 or 2 of those in every game, where you've and I don't know that that's a high percentage way to live and die.
No, it's not.
But that does seem to be their bailiwick. I just like using the word bailiwick.
The number that stuck out to me that I think will give Tennessee an advantage was the interception numbers. If you know Indiana's coming in, going to throw the football a lot, they got a high completion percentage, but they also need to think about, well, we've also picked it off 14 times this year compared to year 5. And so I think that plays into that big play advantage, because I bet a lot of those interceptions came on 30-plus yard pass plays.
It'll be interesting to see, and I haven't, it wasn't like I watched any of these old Indiana games with the stopwatch and timed their punter. But knowing that Tennessee's gotten to the punter 3 times this year, it makes me wonder if Tennessee might not have an edge. If I'm giving an edge here, even though their field goal kicker is equal with Samaglia in terms of percentage, I still give a slight edge to Tennessee just for those return numbers and the blocks.
And Callaway's been nice this year, so it's definitely a huge thing. And as Nealon would say, press the kicking game, here's where the breaks are made.
And they should get some chances in the kick return game, because Indiana's only 50% getting it into the end zone for a touchback.
I mean, it sets up, you named it, for Callaway to have a huge game. I mean, he's got a chance to really make some money as far as his future if he goes out there and has a really big game for Tennessee.
Yeah, really important Marquez Callaway game. With Juwan Jennings' absence, I mean, we've brought it up a bunch of times, but you'd stress it. If you're trying to hit balls down the field on offense, Callaway's the first guy you think of. Special teams opportunities, the way he's made plays there, it's a huge final game for Marquez Callaway.
Very good. We'll let that lead into our next segment. We're going to talk about names you're going to need to know that you're going to hear a lot probably on Thursday night for the Hoosiers. And I'm not going to say Norman Dale or Jimmy Chitwood. Those are Hoosiers I know. We'll tell you some other Hoosiers that you might know come Thursday. But also, in addition to Marquez Callaway, who are we looking at from Tennessee side that could be a standout? That's next on the Sports Source. Come on back.